Hey y'all, okay, so today I am going to talk about deep breathing. So one thing that I think gets confused a lot is deep breathing and belly breathing are not the same. Deep breathing involves our diaphragm, rib cage is involved, and that core strength, core engagement, and our pelvic floor. Now, if any one of those things is not how it should be, then it's going to be challenging to really get everything working together. So one thing off can offset everything else, cause imbalances, cause things like diastasis. So that's why we really want to focus on deep breathing and getting it correct when we find out we're pregnant, postpartum, if you haven't before, and then also just in everyday life, because deep breathing can really help decrease anxiety. It can help prevent and take away if you have tension, headaches, or jaw pain, or tightness in your neck and shoulders. If you have lower back pain, all of these things can be helped and essentially cured and made better with deep breathing. And it's something that we just don't do. In our society, we tend to hold stress up here. We shallow breathe, which engages all these muscles up here, which makes everything super tight because they're not supposed to be engaged when we breathe. And in pregnancy, if you think about it, our diaphragm and rib cage can be pushed up due to the child in our bellies, which is, you would think that, correct? But if you understand and are able to do deep breathing prior to it, it can help relax all of that and keep it in alignment so your ribs don't flare out. So postpartum, you don't have that different tension relationship with your core, with your diaphragm, to where you end up having diastasis that you have to correct. So breathing really, first off, remember, helps relieve neck and shoulder pain. It can help relieve lower back pain. It can help prevent diastasis. It can make you have a better pregnancy and bounce back postpartum. So we want to think of the way we deep breathe. Like I said, it's not just through your belly. It's engaging everything. So starting at the rib cage, our diaphragm is located right under our ribs. So we want that to work together along with our inner core muscles and our pelvic floor. Everything should be thought of as a canister. So the diaphragm's at the top, you've got that inner abdominal wall, and then the pelvic floor at the bottom. And it's all helps supporting your spine as well. So when you inhale, you want that rib mobility. You want to feel even in your back. And a good way to test this is put your hands right on your bra line or lean up against something. You can be in the car, whatever. Inhale. See if you feel that expansion in your back. If you don't, that just means it's something you've got to work on. You've got to get more conscious of it, and you've got to really think about the breathing that you're doing and practicing it multiple times a day. It really does help release those. So when you think about it, again, your back can get tight during pregnancy because of the pressure that the baby is putting, and putting that pelvis forward, your back extensors get turned like this. So you're in an anterior tilt. Pelvis is tilted forward. That's going to put pressure on your psoas, which is one of your deep hip flexor muscles. Your back extensors are going to be super, super tight. So we want to help relax those and get those mobile again. And again, it also stems all the way up. If you have a really tight pelvic floor, your diaphragm's not going to work how it should. It's not going to be able to push its way down. So I talked about the canister, diaphragm at the top, pelvic floor at the bottom. When we inhale, diaphragm and pelvic floor should move down, but if one is not working how it should, then the other isn't going to work, which is just going to cause more imbalances and tightness throughout our muscles in our back and in our lower body. So we want to work on relaxing those. So inhale deep, just trying to redirect that breath through your ribs, through your lower body, and getting it all the way into that pelvic floor. When you exhale, the diaphragm and the pelvic floor move up. But if the diaphragm is stuck from pregnancy and from being super tight and stressed, then that's not going to be able to work either. So our goal is to really be able to get that mobility in our ribs, in our core, in our pelvic floor, so everything can work together. So our ribs, one way to check for this is to see if your ribs are at 90 degrees, and they should be. So what I mean by that is making a 90-degree angle right here. So my ribs, if I turn this way, see, it's about 90 degrees. But a lot of postpartum women, it can be this way. If you've got tightness through your chest and through your back. A lot of times, even guys can have a wider than 90 degrees. So we want to work on really thinking about exhaling, pressing that diaphragm down, inhaling, letting it expand, getting that mobility in our ribs, if you will. So the pressure that it creates also helps stabilize our spine. So those muscles that surround our spine, whether it be the ones that are super tight I was talking about, the back extensors, or your psoas, which wraps around. It's a hip flexor, but it wraps around our spine. It's the big one. And then also just our core in general, our internal obliques and our TVA all work together with that breath to help relax and strengthen our core. So it's a great thing to have our diaphragm be able to expand and contract, and then also with our pelvic floor. So we want it all working together. We want lateral movement in our ribs. So we want them to be able to move out, come back together. And we want that tension relationship to work how it should. If you have too much tension, say in your core, say you're super, super tight in your core, but your diaphragm and your pelvic floor don't work in that same way, then it's going to cause things to be imbalanced and cause for things like your rib cage or your pelvic floor to get even tighter. And we don't want that. So think about taking 5 minutes a day and really focusing on just breathing deep as you can. It's going to also help relax you. It's going to help anxiety go down. It's going to take away that tension up here, which can prevent those tension headaches, that jaw pain, which I used to have so much. And I mean, I still have. I mean, you can see right here, my traps are a little too tight, but I do better, right? And you just want to really focus on getting stronger. It makes a difference. Take the time, 5 minutes a day, you will benefit from it.